Ever feel like you're just bombarded with information these days?
Oh, absolutely.
Like everywhere you turn, articles, videos, podcasts, social media. It's like drinking from a fire hose, you know?
Yeah.
Like just the other day, I was trying to remember this fascinating article, and it was driving me crazy because I couldn't put my finger on it. I think it was about how city pigeons, like, navigate using smells, and poof, gone, lost in the abyss of my browser history.
Yeah, it's so easy to lose track of things.
It really is, and it makes you realize we need a better way to manage this whole information overload thing. Like, how do we hold on to what matters?
Well, that's where this whole idea of a second brain comes in. Have you heard about this?
Yeah, and all these note-taking tools that are popping up.
It's really interesting, actually, to see how it's evolved. You see, way back when, like in the 1950s, there was this method called Zettelkasten.
Okay, never heard of it.
You had people meticulously organizing their notes on index cards, and they would cross-reference everything. It was like a physical web of knowledge.
Wow, sounds intense, like something a detective would use.
Right. But, for its time, it was brilliant. But here's the thing. Today, we're dealing with exponentially more information. I mean, think about it. Global news, social media, research papers from every corner of the internet.
Yeah.
Those old paper-based systems, they just can't keep up with the sheer volume and complexity of information today.
Totally. It's like trying to navigate a modern city with a hand-drawn map from the 1800s.
Exactly.
You might get like a very basic lay of the land, but good luck trying to find that cool new coffee shop with the award-winning cold brew. You'd be totally lost.
Precisely. And that's where we start to see this really interesting shift from those early personal information managers, or PIMs, as they're called, think like your digital calendars and to-do lists,
Okay.
to these much more powerful systems called personal knowledge managers,
Okay.
or PKMs.
So PMs were basically like those massive desk calendars with little sticky notes poking out. Functional, but not very inspiring.
That is a very accurate comparison. They were great for keeping track of appointments and such, but they kind of treated information like these isolated bits.
Yeah.
There wasn't really a good way to connect the dots or build on those insights you might have.
Okay, and that's where these second brains come in. Tell me more about this because it sounds a little sci-fi, but incredibly useful at the same time.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But it's actually quite elegant when you think about it.
Okay.
The term was made really popular by a guy named Tiago Forte.
Okay, yeah.
And he talks about building a second brain where your notes basically become an extension of your mind.
Yeah.
They help you to process information more easily and then recall it effortlessly when you need it.
So it's less of like a backup drive and more like an external processor for your thoughts.
Exactly. It's about actively engaging with the information you're taking in, making connections, and using it to spark new ideas. It goes way beyond just storing things you might need to remember later.
So how do you actually build the second brain? What are the key principles involved?
Well, Forte, he emphasizes 4 key principles.
Yeah.
Capture, organize, distill, and express.
Okay, I'm listening.
First, you capture anything and everything that resonates with you. This could be articles, quotes, even social media posts, whatever really strikes your fancy. Then you organize this information in a way that makes sense to you personally.
So finding a system that just clicks with your brain.
Precisely. The third step is distilling. So you're summarizing those key ideas, extracting the most valuable insights from all that information you've gathered.
Okay.
Finally, you express those ideas in your own words, and you start integrating them into your work, your conversations, just your life in general.
It's amazing, though, how these principles can apply in so many different ways. Like, everybody's brain works a little differently.
Oh, absolutely.
Not everyone approaches note-taking the same way.
That's very true. You have some people, they're natural collectors.
Collectors, okay.
That gather tons and tons of information. Articles, videos, you name it. Always drawn to anything,
Shiny and new.
Exactly.
Like digital magpies.
Yes. And I'm sure we all know a few of those, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, they're constantly sending you articles like, have you seen this? Have you read this?
Exactly, yeah. And then on the flip side, you have the producers.
Okay.
And they are all about creating. They use their notes as fuel for their work.
Okay.
Writing, designing, building businesses, whatever it is, their second brain, it's all about generating new ideas and insights.
So are you saying it's better to be one or the other, or is it more about, understanding your own personal style?
It's definitely more about understanding your own natural inclination, because neither one is inherently better. Are you energized by gathering the information, or are you more energized by taking that information and transforming it into something new?
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So once you know your style, then what?
Then you can start looking at different tools and strategies that can amplify your strengths.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But it's not just about, like, the type of note taker you are, right? It's also about how you actually approach the information itself.
You are spot on. You can think of it as convergent versus divergent note-taking.
Ooh, okay. I like where this is going. Break it down for me.
All right, so convergent note-taking. This is all about synthesizing and summarizing.
Okay.
Imagine taking like a dense research paper and then condensing it down into a one-page cheat sheet with all the key takeaways.
Okay.
So you're getting to the heart of the matter very quickly.
So that's perfect if you're, like, prepping for a presentation or you need to quickly get up to speed on a new topic.
Exactly. You're distilling a complex idea down to its essence.
Got it. Okay, so then divergent note-taking, that sounds a little bit more, I don't know, free-flowing.
It is, yes. It's about using your notes as a springboard for new ideas.
Okay.
So let's say you're working on a blog post. You've got all these different notes on a topic. You're not quite sure how to connect all the dots yet.
Yeah.
With divergent note-taking, you might be jotting down thoughts, drawing connections between seemingly different ideas, and just seeing where your curiosity leads you.
So it's less about, like, organizing what you already know, and it's more about, like, exploring the unknown.
Precisely. And this is actually where we're starting to see some of those generative AI tools shaking things up.
Yeah.
They can help you brainstorm, explore different perspectives, even challenge your assumptions in new and unexpected ways.
Okay, all this talk about, like, second brains and different note-taking styles, I'm, like, really intrigued. But let's be honest, the real world of note-taking, it can be kind of overwhelming.
Oh, absolutely.
There are so many apps and tools out there. It's like, where do we even begin? It really is. It's like option overload. Where do you even begin?
Right. Well, the good news is there are some fantastic tools out there.
Okay, that's good to hear.
Yeah. Each one has its own strength, you know. The key is just finding the one that best aligns with your own personal needs and your work style.
Okay, music to my ears. So, like, what are some of the top contenders we should be thinking about in the note-taking apps?
Well, if we're talking about versatility, Notion is a really great place to start.
Notion.
A lot of people call it the Swiss Army knife of note-taking.
Yeah.
And for good reason.
Okay.
You can create to-do lists, databases, wikis. You can even embed multimedia.
Wow.
The possibilities are kind of endless. You can really get lost in there.
It's like the digital equivalent of one of those giant bulletin boards, like with a string connecting everything.
That is a great way to put it, yes. But then, you know, some people, they prefer something a little bit more, you know, maybe they like to get their hands a little dirtier.
Okay.
They want to keep their data local. For those folks, there's Obsidian.
Obsidian. Yeah, I've heard that's like a favorite among, like, the more technically inclined.
It is. That's right. Obsidian is built around this concept of plain text files.
Okay.
Now, that might sound a little intimidating to some,
Yeah.
but it actually gives you incredible flexibility and control over your data.
Okay.
And the way it allows you to link ideas is really almost magical.
Yeah, it's like creating your own, like, personal Wikipedia of interconnected ideas.
Exactly. And then, of course, you know, we have people who are very visually inclined.
Right.
So if you're someone who likes, you know, mind maps,
Yeah.
tools like Heptabase or Scrintle, those might be right up your alley.
Okay.
They let you create those mind map style notes where you can just visually link ideas in a way that clicks for a lot of people.
It's like giving your thoughts some breathing room, you know? Like letting them spread out on the page.
I like that. Now, of course, we can't talk about note-taking these days without mentioning, you know, the elephant in the room.
And AI.
Yeah,
It's everywhere.
it is. Tools like Notebook LM are using AI to actually understand your notes. They can pull out key insights, even generate summaries for you.
See, that's next level. I mean, it sounds almost too good to be true.
It is pretty incredible what it can do. But, you know, with all this amazing technology at our fingertips, we also have to take a moment to think about the ethical implications as well.
That's a really good point. Like, what happens to our data when we rely on these tools?
Yeah, it's definitely something to be mindful of. Some people, you know, they prefer to keep their notes in those more simple, reliable tools,
Right.
like Apple Notes, OneNote, things like that.
Yeah.
They might not have all the bells and whistles of these fancier tools, but they offer that sense of control and data privacy that's really hard to beat.
So it's not even just about finding, like, the best tool. It's about finding the tool that aligns with, like, your values as well.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, the best note-taking tool is the one that you'll actually use consistently, right?
Yeah, the one that doesn't feel like a chore every time you open it up.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It's about finding that system that seamlessly integrates into your workflow and helps you to unlock the potential of all that information you're gathering.
Yeah.
And remember, it's not about just hoarding knowledge,
Right.
It's about actually putting it to good use.
Knowledge is power, but only if you know what to do with it.
Exactly. And hey, who knows? Maybe someday these AI tools that might even help us figure out what to do with all that knowledge.
Now, there's a thought-provoking idea. Well, I feel like we've covered a lot of ground today, and I have a feeling this is just the beginning of our second brain journeys.
I think you're right. The future of note-taking is really exciting, and I'm glad we could be here to talk about it.